not earned it.
Some angry parents and another heated Palm Beach County School Board meeting as the quarantine rules for students exposed to COVID are changing. We'll get you up to speed.
The FDA approving a booster for some Americans who they say should be getting that third shot of protection from COVID-19.
We've deployed numerous resources and we are trying to cover every acre in this preserve.
Search teams still at it trying to track down Brian Laundrie. They need to talk to him about the Gabby Petito case. We'll tell you what's getting in the way of finding him now.
You're watching CBS 12 News This Morning.
So this morning, new rules stopping schools from forcing students to quarantine if they've been exposed to someone who has COVID. Good morning, I'm Matt Lincoln.
Yeah, here we go again. Things are changing. I'm Ashley Glass. Well, everything that led up to that decision and what it means for your child just ahead.
But here on this Friday Eve, let's get right to meteorologist Zach Kofi checking that forecast.
And we've got a cold front moving through the state on this first full day of fall. Yeah, fall did officially arrive yesterday, but it was yesterday afternoon. So it's the first full day of fall and right on time, right? The cold front coming in. I've got temperatures overlaid underneath it, and you can see those winds coming out of the north behind the front. Out ahead of the front, though, still southwest winds. And because we are ahead of this front, we are still on that warm, that muggy, that humid side. Look at the temperatures. Panama City, do they eke out 59? I think so. I really do believe so. I think Panama City may get down into 59, 58 in the next hour. 62 in Pensacola, 64 Tally. Unfortunately, we're starting off our day in the mid 70s. And that, again, is because we're on the south side of this front. Now, by this weekend, Sunday especially, the front will proceed all the way through South Florida, refocusing a lot of that deep moisture, that warmer air back out through Cuba and the Bahamas. Today, though, you can see the temperature difference, right? 79 in Tally, 77 in Panama City. Clear skies, ample sunshine. Meanwhile, for us, scattered showers and storms and highs in the upper 80s, even a few low 90s. We'll talk about when that front arrives, exactly when, plus we'll dive into the different variables it brings us. It's not only cooler air, something else. We'll dive into that next.
All right, Zach, looking forward to that. On-time traffic here and taking a look on our roads. This is in Fort Pierce, where we see traffic is up to speed, all green. That's good. And our traffic tracker on the road, southbound I-95, West Palm Beach. No problems there as well. Remember, we got time, temperature, top stories on your screen at all times.
Your power-hungry dictatorship has gotten out of control.
Insults flying at another tense Palm Beach County School Board meeting. So starting today, students who have been in close contact with someone who has COVID will no longer have to quarantine at home as long as they're not showing any symptoms.
Yeah, the rule was signed by the state's new Surgeon General just one day after he took the job, and there will be no fighting Tallahassee from our local schools on this. The Palm Beach County School Board approving those new guidelines at last night's school board meeting.
Madeline Montgomery live in West Palm Beach with what this means for students. Maddie?
This decision is something that parents here in Palm Beach County have been begging for, the choice whether or not to keep their kid home instead of having to keep them quarantined, sometimes for days on end.
This poor little 7-year-old girl has not been in school for 2 weeks. How do you go to bed at night?
The old stay-at-home rules required at least 4 days of quarantine followed by a negative COVID-19 test or a 7-day quarantine without a test before an asymptomatic child could return to campus. The new rule lets parents, not school districts, decide if their children exposed to COVID should go back to school as long as they're not showing symptoms. The rule also reiterates parents' rights to opt out of mask mandates, something Palm Beach County schools still aren't allowing. And like you guys said in the studio, there were emotional responses to these changes at last night's school board meeting.
This is not okay. This is child abuse and you're orchestrating it.
It is not fair that I'm getting punished because you guys, the school board, are not following the law. That is not fair. It just isn't right. I'm still going to stand up for what I believe in.
The school board here in Palm Beach County agreed 5-2 to adopt the new quarantine guideline. Reporting live in West Palm Beach, Madeline Montgomery, CBS 12 News.
All right, Maddie, and we checked in with all of our Treasure Coast school districts about this new rule. They all say they'll follow it and update their guidelines, letting parents choose whether or not to quarantine their kids. And Matt has the COVID dashboard queued up right there behind him. What do the numbers show, Matt? How many cases are we seeing in our schools?
Well, a new Surgeon General is making this change when COVID numbers in our local schools are the best they have shown all year. When we take a look at the dashboard for Palm Beach County, take a look at this here over the past 4 weeks. You can see that number is definitely declining. This is the past couple days here. This week so far, Palm Beach has averaged 81 cases per day. Now, 3 weeks ago, that number was almost double at 152 cases a day. Certainly a sign that COVID protocols have been working. Now, when we take a look at St. Lucie County, we can see here the lower numbers are near the top, which means recently they've been declining. In Martin County, also, the most recent numbers are to the left of your screen, and as you can see, those are the least amount of numbers, only down to about 10 cases a day. We're going to continue to keep an eye on this to see if the Surgeon General's change in protocols leads to a change in this trend of decreasing cases.
All right, Matt, 6:05 right now. Advisors for the Centers for Disease Control Prevention could vote as early as today on Pfizer's booster shots. Last night, the Food and Drug Administration signed off on a third dose of Pfizer's booster shot for people 65 and up and those at a high risk of severe illness from COVID. Now, this booster shot would be given at least 6 months after a second dose.
They're motivated and they're hungry to find Brian Landry.
Authorities are not letting up on their search for Brian Laundrie. You know that name by now, the boyfriend of the late Gabby Petito and a person of interest in her death. Gabby never came home from a months-long road trip with Laundrie. And just hours from now, search teams, they'll start looking for him again for another day at the Carlton Reserve Park in Venice near Sarasota.
Yeah, teams have been using a bunch of different approaches here in their search of this 24,000-acre reserve, but so far, no luck. Laundrie's been missing for more than a week since he returned to his home in Northport alone in the same van they used for the road trip. His home's about 15 miles from where the search is happening right now. Laundrie's family says he went on a hike at the reserve, but never came back.
And Sam picks it up from there from our live desk. So why is this area so difficult, Sam? We know it's huge. It's a big area, but there are other things at play here.
Yeah, Matt, Ashley, we are talking about thousands of acres that these crews are searching through, and much of it is a swampland filled with alligators, snakes, and other wild animals. So that's one of the challenging parts. And then there's also more than 100 miles of hiking and horseback riding trails, camping areas, and rivers they also have to search. So yesterday, veteran dive teams were called in to search underwater. You can see a large van and boat arriving from the Sarasota County Sheriff's Office. The Sheriff's Office says these highly trained deputies from their SURF, or Sheriff's Underwater Recovery Force, work in the most difficult and challenging environments imaginable. You can also see here in this aerial video a team of about 10 divers from that unit out searching the swampy waters at the Carlton Reserve. They're using sonar equipment and boats in addition to helicopters and drones. Crews are also using infrared cameras to keep an eye on the reserve overnight. But still, there's been no sign of Brian Laundrie. Authorities say they will be back out searching the reserve again today using all the same resources. Ashley.
All right, Sam, and as we've shown you all week long, social media is playing a role in helping investigators on this case. Northport Police and the FBI are asking anyone with information to call them. We will post this contact information you see on your screen once again at CBS12.com.
Well, last night a vigil was held for Gabby in Salt Lake City. Gabby made a stop there while on her road trip. People lit candles, took flowers and photos to remember Gabby.
And CBS 12 News is bringing you every development of this case. Make sure to visit CBS12.com and download our free app, CBS 12 News. We'll send updates straight to your phone.
Well, coming up, the abortion debate now taking center stage in our state. How a new bill filed in our legislature is similar to the Texas abortion law and the clash it's already causing among both political sides ahead of the legislative session.
Plus the oh-so-popular Sunfest Music Fest. It's making a comeback. We have a live report, the COVID rules we can expect and how you can get involved starting today.